What's good, my friends? My name's Corrupt, and it is time to simplify the new best Town Hall 12 attacks that you can use with the brand new Super Bowler. Let's start off simple with the use of the IC5. This one is using two Super Bowlers. Pretty much how you want to think about this attack is one, looking for all single target infernos, and then looking at splash buildings, like the Wizard Towers, the Eagle, and the Town Hall. So what I usually do is I start off with my Ice Golems, about 3, then I use the Witches, the Giants, since I had some space in here, alongside a couple more Ice Golems, and then the Super Bowlers, because I really wanted them to actually go into the base. But unfortunately, what happens is everything splits. For the majority, most of the army goes down to the left, while some of it goes to the right. While that does definitely help, I don't need too much support going into the core, since there isn't that many defenses to get rid of. Usually you want to use the Grand Warden ability for the log launcher, and even for any of the troops on the outside. As you can see from here, we don't have much going in. Outside of the Queen moving in and dealing with the enemy CC, we don't really need to worry about these witches over here. So being able to make sure that you've got maybe even your Yetis to start clearing through defenses and possibly getting over to something like the Wizard Tower does help a lot. Dealing with the core Inferno Tower, that really allows you to kind of get a good amount of value. At this stage, you want to then go into controlling your witches and maybe your Super Bowlers and stuff like that. In this case, since a large majority of them went onto the outside, I had to adapt. So being able to use a jump spell here gets them into the Town Hall, dealing with one of the final Wizard Towers, and the final one is right by the Town Hall. So using the free spells there allows me to actually get to the Town Hall with no problem. I don't even need to use them for my bats. And speaking of which, using the bat spells on the back end of the base, where we have some other defenses that are more single target damage, really does help. And getting rid of the Wizard Tower here actually helped so much more, as I was able to easily clear through the rest of it with the bats. I even got down all the way over to the Town Hall, where I had the Super Bowler, Skeletons, and Witches and Bats to absolutely clear through. This is really good. Despite me having a fail, you won't actually be hitting a base like that. Most of the time, you want to hit from a flat area of the base or from a corner that you can funnel out and be able to get all your troops to go into for the most part. But other than that, you can easily get a triple with this, and you only need about 2 Super Bowlers for this to be viable. And even we had this Super Bowler that still had more than enough HP to get through. So if I were you, if you wanted to use something easy, this is a good option. Of course, maybe minus the regular Giants. Now, another option that you have is pairing the Super Bowlers up with the Super Valkyries for the Super Falcon attack. This is going to be typically done by starting with a Grand Warden walk. You're using this to create part of the funnel. This is for the most part just clearing through a given area kind of like this in order to make sure that you're able to get enough value. For the most part, you could use a Queen walk as well, and you will need to actively create the funnel by using a Baby Dragon for either one of them. It just makes it easier for you to control where they're going to be going towards. For the most part though, being able to use the Grand Warden walk to create the funnel is going to help you a lot. You could possibly use this at Town Hall 13 with maybe lightning spells instead. It depends on the base, and it also depends on your personal preference. In terms of the other side, you do want to try and create the funnel with a siege barrack. So being able to clear through the bomb tower here, then deploying the siege barrack and the Barbarian King, that allows me to have that side of the funnel all set up. So that way, what I'm able to do is once the Tesla goes down, I use the Bowlers, the Queen, and the Super Valkyries. The Bowlers are there to lure over the Warden, I use the Queen, and then the Super Valkyries. They're able to start to work themselves in, where I use a Rage spell and the Grand Warden ability. This protects all of my troops as they start to work in, using a poison to deal with the enemy CC. In this case, it was the rocket balloons. And the best part about Super Valkyries is when they die, they provide a rage spell, which it may not be the best and most maxed out rage spell, but any rage will help depending on if you're getting into the core and you could use another rage spell later on. Now you also have Hog Riders in your siege barrack. So while you've got your troops kind of moving in, you've got the siege barrack with Hog Riders on the back end. This is where you're also going to use your own Hog Riders to also provide more support with the Hog Riders from the siege barrack. That provides a lot of support for you to then enter into the base and not having to worry. Having the Queen ability alongside having all 3 of the Super Bowlers still up and being able to use a rage spell for the Town Hall does help a lot. And you can easily start working your way around to getting through the rest of the base. And overall, the true MVPs of this is of course going to be the Wizards and Barbarians. And overall, if you still have them up, they could provide some really, really good cleanup. In terms of this, it's an absolute dominating attack. And I didn't expect the Super Falcon to work. I didn't expect the Super Valkyries and Super Bowlers to have such a great synergy, but the Super Bowlers really provide a lot of that damage and support, and the Super Valkyries provide enough rage spells so you're not forced to use your own rage spells early. Now you've also got a traditional Pekka Smash version using the Super Bowlers. Of course, you don't really need the Pekkas, but having the Pekkas really provides maybe even more overkill with the Super Bowlers. Overall, how you want to start this off is you can start with either a Warden Walk, or you could use a Queen Walk. In this case, the attacker here decides on going in for the Eagle Artillery with the Queen Walk. Now, in this case, you could use a Grand Warden Walk to get the Eagle Artillery in this case, but if you don't have a high enough level Grand Warden, using a Queen Walk is a good option. Though you do want to make sure that you try to get your healers to go to your Pekkas and your Super Bowlers. So as you're starting to work yourself in, you don't really need to use this Queen charge to necessarily meet up with everything else. You're going to use that to at least help create a little bit of a funnel. So using a rage spell to help keep the Queen alive, a freeze and poison to deal with the enemy CC does really help a lot. Overall, you then can start creating the other side of the funnel with the Siege Barrack and Barbarian King. This is able to create enough of a funnel for you to then send in your Super Bowlers, Pekkas, and your Grand Warden into the base. It gives you a really solid lane to move yourself into. Having the use of the Super Bowlers and the Pekka really do help. So even though most of the Pekkas are going to start moving themselves down to the outside, you've got the Super Bowlers with their range that's going to do a lot of work. You even have the Hog Riders from the Siege Barrack to provide even more support. Since they do so much damage and they have so much HP, having them go in with the Pekkas and the Bowlers, having the Grand Warden ability, really protects everything as you work yourself through, and that really gives you enough momentum. And having the rage spells there to smash your way through, giving yourself enough time, really gives you enough momentum to drive through. Even though the Pekkas were not necessarily needed, they did help quite a bit getting rid of the Town Hall. And being able to have the healers on the Super Bowlers just goes to show on how strong Super Bowlers are, and why you should possibly even try out the Super Bowlers with just themselves in a term of smash attack, which can provide so much support and take down a lot of bases similar to a Pekka Smash. Another option that you have in terms of spam is the Zap Witches. Typically, in terms of this, I would recommend only bringing 2 of them so you have space for a 3rd golem. I made that mistake. Now in this case, you always want to make sure that you're looking at the Infernos. You want to zap out 2 multi-target Infernos, or 2 single-target Infernos if they're all singles, but for the most part, you want to use the lightning spells around the defenses and around different structures to get rid of buildings. Now, in terms of this, I specifically focused in to get rid of this, where I could use some of the troops to go in for the Eagle Artillery, but my main focus was to get to the Town Hall very easily. So, being able to have the golems there to tank and having the witches go right here, and I'm mainly focusing into this area, not for the Eagle and for the Inferno. I tried that before, and I wasn't able to get most of my troops to go in. But in this case, I was able to at least have some troops go into the base. mostly going in for something like the Eagle Artillery. So overall, in this case, while most of the troops are either going to the left or going over to the right, I do have the log launcher moving through with an easy lane all the way across. Having the poison to deal with the enemy's CC and using the Grand Warden ability to protect the log launcher does allow me to have the Yetis from the log launcher to get through the town hall. Underneath a rage, they're able to easily do that, and especially at level 4 because they have quite a bit of HP. In this case, I still do have the Barbarian King, Witches, Queen, etc. on one side, while still having Witches and 2 Super Bowlers on the other side, which is why I really enjoy this attack. But for the most part, take a look at how dominant this is though, still having 2 Super Bowlers, possibly even just one more, but it really gives you a good idea of how effective this attack is. And with the Expo that is still in the core here, it does provide so much support, and you can easily get through a lot of different bases with the Zap Witches already, and this is just another option that you have with the Super Bowlers this time, paired up with the Witches, can be an absolutely devastating combo. But I want to know, what is your favorite thing about the Super Bowlers, and does this change your mind about how strong they are? Make sure to check out my previous sneak peek video if you're still not tuned with all of the Super Bowlers mechanics, and also make sure to subscribe and ring the bell, and I'll catch you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.